I'm 70. I avoid people now. Here's why. Hello, friends. Turning 70 is a milestone. One I never imagined reaching so quickly. One moment you're in your 20s, full of plans and energy. And the next, you're waking up in a body that feels different every day, with memory spanning decades. Life changes, priorities shift. And as I've grown older, I've noticed something surprising about myself. I've started avoiding people. This wasn't always the case. I used to be incredibly social, always surrounded by friends and family, attending events, helping out in the community, and being that person everyone could rely on. But somewhere along the way, something changed. At first I thought it was just me. Now, I'm realizing it might be more common than I imagined. Let me explain why. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss an update. 1. Reason I've started avoiding people is that time feels more precious than ever. At 70, I find myself thinking about time in ways I never did before. It's not just the ticking of the clock or the turning of the calendar. It's the undeniable realization that time is finite. When I was younger, time felt abundant, like an endless river flowing toward an unknowable horizon. I wasted it freely. Hours spent on idle chatter, relationships that went nowhere, and tasks that brought little joy or meaning. Those moments seemed inconsequential then, but now every moment feels like a gift, and I don't want to squander it. Time isn't just a measurement anymore, it's a companion, sometimes kind, sometimes harsh, always reminding me to cherish what I have left. It's in the quiet mornings when I sip my coffee and watch the sunrise, savoring the warmth of the cup in my hands. It's in the afternoons when I take long walks, feeling the crunch of leaves underfoot, grateful for the strength still left in my legs. And it's in the evenings, sitting in my favorite chair, reflecting on memories of a life well lived. I used to fill my time with people and activities, thinking that the more I did, the fuller my life would feel. But I've learned that the opposite is true. It's not about how much you do or how many people you surround yourself with. It's about the quality of those experiences and relationships. Now, I choose carefully where and with whom I spend my time. I'd rather have a quiet conversation with someone who truly understands me than attend a crowded gathering where I feel like a stranger in a sea of faces. The truth is, I've become fiercely protective of my time because I've realized how irreplaceable it is. When you're young, you think there's always tomorrow to fix a mistake, rekindle a friendship, or chase a dream. But as you age, you understand that there are fewer tomorrows than you'd like to admit. This doesn't make me sad. It makes me intentional. I don't waste hours on meaningless drama, shallow conversations, or obligations that don't align with my values. Instead, I pour my time into what truly matters: my health, my passions, and the people who bring light into my life. This shift has brought me profound peace. I've stopped feeling guilty about saying no to things that don't serve me. I no longer feel the need to explain myself when I choose solitude over socializing. It's not that I don't value relationships. In fact, I value them more than ever. But my focus has changed. I want my connections to be genuine, my conversations to be meaningful, and my days to feel full, not just busy. At this stage in life, letting go is also part of the journey. Letting go of regrets over wasted moments, letting go of grudges that once seemed important, and letting go of the need to do it all. I've learned that it's okay to slow down and simply be. There's no rush anymore, no race to the finish line. The best moments aren't in grand achievements, but in the small, quiet joys. A favorite song, a warm breeze, a heartfelt laugh. So yes, time feels more precious than ever, but it also feels richer. I've stopped chasing it and started savoring it. And in doing so, I've found a kind of contentment I never knew was possible. At 70, I don't want to waste a single moment, not because I'm afraid of running out, but because I finally understand what a gift it truly is. As the years pass, relationships transform in ways you might never anticipate. Some grow stronger, deepened by shared memories and mutual understanding. Others fade quietly, like a book you've put down and never picked up again. At 70, I've come to accept that not all relationships are meant to last forever, and that's okay. What I've learned is that the people who remain in your life during this stage are often the ones who truly matter. When I was younger, relationships were everything. I surrounded myself with friends, colleagues, neighbors, and acquaintances, always trying to maintain connections and be part of something larger. I was the person who remembered every birthday, showed up for every event, and tried to keep everyone happy. But over time, I realized how much energy it took to maintain relationships that didn't always nurture me in return. Life has a way of naturally pruning the branches of your social tree. People move away, get busy, or change in ways that make it hard to stay connected. Some relationships end with heartbreak, others simply with time. I used to take these losses personally, wondering what I could have done differently to hold on. Now I understand that life's journey pulls us all in different directions. People come into your life for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. Recognizing which is which has brought me a sense of peace. But it's not just others who change. We change too. I'm not the same person I was at 40 or even 60. My priorities have shifted. I value simplicity, kindness, and authenticity more than ever before. I don't have the patience for drama or relationships that feel one-sided. I used to think being there for everyone made me a good friend or family member, but I've realized that true relationships are reciprocal. They don't drain you, they fill you. Some of the most profound lessons I've learned about relationships have come through heartache, trust broken by people I cared about, loyalty that wasn't returned, or kindness that was taken for granted. These experiences left scars, but they also taught me how to set boundaries, recognize red flags, and most importantly, value my own well-being. Now, I give my time and energy to people who lift me up, not those who weigh me down. And yet, even with these lessons, I sometimes feel a pang of nostalgia for the relationships that have faded. A friend who was once like a sibling, but whom I haven't spoken to in years. A family member whose life has taken a different path. It's bittersweet to look back on those connections, but I've come to appreciate them for what they were. Precious moments in time that helped shape me into who I am today. The stage of life has taught me to cherish the relationships that remain, to focus on those who truly matter, and to let go of the rest without guilt or regret. The older you get, the more you realize how fragile trust can be. In my younger years, I trusted easily, believing in the goodness of people and their intentions. But as life unfolded, I encountered betrayal in ways that left me more cautious. Trust, once lost, is hard to regain. At 70, I find myself far more selective about whom I let into my inner circle. It's not that I'm bitter or angry, I'm not. But Experience has taught me to be careful. Over the years, I've been let down by people I never expected to hurt me. A friend who turned out to be more interested in what I could do for them than in who I was. A business partner who prioritized their gain over our shared vision. Even family members who, for reasons I may never fully understand, distanced themselves in ways that left me questioning what went wrong. These experiences left me with a choice: close myself off entirely or approach new relationships with a mix of openness and caution. I chose the latter. But that caution comes with a price. When someone new enters my life, my first instinct isn't excitement or curiosity, it's suspicion. I find myself wondering, what do they want? What's their motive? It's not a mindset I enjoy, but it's one born out of necessity. However, I've also learned that trust isn't just about others. It's about trusting yourself, trusting your instincts when something doesn't feel right, trusting your ability to walk away from toxic people, no matter how long they've been in your life, trusting that it's okay to protect your heart, even if it means keeping your distance. Still, trust is a complicated thing. I've met people in recent years who have restored my faith in humanity, even if just a little. A kind stranger who helped me when I dropped something at the store. A neighbor who checks in during bad weather. These moments remind me that while trust may be harder to give now, it's not impossible. At this stage in life, I've come to terms with the fact that trust will always be a delicate balance. It's not about building walls so high that no one can climb them. It's about creating gates, strong enough to keep out harm, but open enough to let in love, kindness, and connection when it feels right. Ultimately, relationships and trust have become simpler in their complexity. I cherish the few people I trust wholeheartedly and keep my boundaries firm with those who haven't earned it. And while I may never trust as easily as I once did, I've come to value the relationships I do have even more deeply. At 70, that feels like a gift worth treasuring. At 70, the world feels like a completely different place from the one I grew up in. It's not just the pace of life that has changed, it's the very fabric of how we interact with each other. Sometimes I look around and wonder where the warmth and simplicity of human connection have gone. I grew up in a time when neighbors were like extended family. We knew each other by name, stopped by unannounced to share a cup of coffee, and offered help before anyone had to ask. Families gathered regularly, not out of obligation, but out of genuine love and joy. There was an ease in those relationships, a sense of belonging that didn't require constant effort to maintain. Now, it seems like everyone is so busy, chasing something, whether it's success, recognition, or just keeping up with the demands of modern life. People don't visit each other the way they used to. Conversations feel rushed, as though we're all racing against an invisible clock. Even within families, connections can sometimes feel thinner, stretched by distance, both physical and emotional. Technology, for all its conveniences, has played a part in this shift. Don't get me wrong, I'm grateful for the ability to video call my grandchildren or stay in touch with old friends through social media. But at the same time, I can't help but feel that these screens have created barriers between us. There's something irreplaceable about sitting across from someone, hearing the nuances in their voice, and feeling the warmth of their presence. The constant hum of notifications, news updates, and endless scrolling can feel overwhelming. It's as though the world has become noisier, yet lonelier at the same time. There are moments when I just want to step away from it all, turn off the phone, disconnect, and retreat into the quiet of my own thoughts. Then there's the matter of values. The world I see today often feels unrecognizable, with priorities that seem so far removed from what I was taught to cherish: honesty, kindness, and community. It's not that those values have disappeared entirely, but they're harder to find amidst the noise of self-promotion and endless competition. I often long for the simplicity of the past, not because I'm resistant to change, but because I miss the depth of genuine human connection. Back then, relationships felt more grounded, less transactional. People weren't constantly distracted, and there was an unspoken understanding that time spent together was precious. Yet I also recognize that nostalgia can sometimes paint the past in softer colors than it deserves. Life was never perfect, and every era has its challenges. But as the world moves forward, I find myself retreating, not out of a bitterness, but out of a desire to hold on to what still feels real and meaningful to me. In my younger years, I used to equate being alone with being lonely. The thought of spending an evening by myself seemed unbearable, as though solitude was something to be avoided at all costs. But now, I've come to understand that solitude isn't something to fear. It's something to cherish. There's a profound difference between being alone and being lonely. Loneliness is an emptiness, a longing for connection that feels out of reach. Solitude, on the other hand, is a fullness, a quiet contentment in your own company. At 70, I've found that some of the happiest moments in my life come from simply being still, letting the world fade into the background as I focus on the here and now. In solitude, I've rediscovered the joy of simple pleasures. Sitting by the window with a cup of tea, watching the birds flutter around the feeder, feeling the warmth of the sun on my face during a morning walk, hearing the crackle of a fire on a cool evening. These moments, though small, fill me with a sense of peace that no crowded room or bustling event ever could. Solitude has also given me the space to reflect. At this stage of life, memories become both a comfort and a teacher. I find myself revisiting moments from the past, not out of regret, but out of gratitude for the experiences that have shaped me. In the quiet of my own thoughts, I've been able to make peace with the things I once struggled to understand. This doesn't mean I've completely cut myself off from the world. I still enjoy seeing my grandchildren's faces light up when they visit, catching up with old friends, or engaging in causes that matter to me. But those connections feel more meaningful now, because they are a choice, not an obligation. I no longer feel the need to say yes to every invitation, or maintain relationships that drain me. Solitude has also helped me appreciate the relationships that remain. When I do spend time with others, I'm fully present, savoring the moments we share. There's no rush, no distraction, just the joy of being together, however briefly. I think solitude teaches you to love yourself in a way that no amount of external validation ever could. It shows you that your worth isn't tied to how many people surround you or how busy your social calendar is. It's in the quiet moments that you realize you're enough just as you are. At 70, I've learned that solitude isn't a sign of loneliness. It's a sign of strength. It's a choice to step away from the noise to protect your peace and to focus on what truly matters. And in that choice, I've found a happiness that's deeper and more enduring than I ever imagined. At this stage in my life, avoiding people isn't about bitterness or resentment. It's about preserving my peace. After 7 decades of giving, learning, and sometimes hurting, I've come to understand that not every relationship is meant to last, and not every connection is worth the energy it takes to maintain. It's a lesson that's both freeing and bittersweet. One I've embraced not out of sadness, but out of necessity. For most of my life, I was the kind of person who put others first. I gave my time, my energy, and my heart freely, often without expecting much in return. I wanted to be liked, to be helpful, to be someone others could depend on. For a long time, that felt right. I thrived on being needed, on showing up for others, on being the steady hand people could rely on. But life has a way of teaching you where your boundaries should be, even if it takes decades to learn the lesson. I've been let down by people I trusted, hurt by those I loved, and drained by relationships that took far more than they gave. There were times I ignored the red flags because I wanted so badly to see the good in someone. There were times I stayed in situations that chipped away at my happiness because I thought that's what loyalty meant. Now, at 70, I see things more clearly. Avoiding people doesn't mean I've given up on humanity. It means I've learned to protect my own well-being. I no longer feel obligated to keep toxic relationships alive or to engage in situations that leave me feeling empty. I've traded the noise of social obligations for the quiet of meaningful solitude, and I've never felt more at peace. I avoid people who bring unnecessary drama into their lives and mine. I avoid those who make everything about themselves, who never ask how I'm doing or truly care about the answer if they do. I avoid people who take my kindness for granted, assuming it's endless. And most importantly, I avoid situations that make me feel like less than who I truly am. This isn't to say I've closed myself off completely. I still cherish the relationships that matter, the friends and family who have stood the test of time, who show up not because they need something, but because they care. Those connections are sacred to me, and I nurture them with all the love I have left to give. But I no longer feel the need to cast a wide net. A smaller, deeper circle is more than enough. In some ways, avoiding people has allowed me to appreciate them more. When I do spend time with others, it's because I truly want to, not because I feel obligated. The conversations are richer, the moments more memorable, because they're chosen, not forced. And as I reflect on this choice, I often wonder, does this sound familiar? Do others in my age group feel the same way? Is it just me, or does time naturally make you more selective? Do the disappointments and betrayals of life lead all of us to guard our hearts more closely, to prioritize our peace above all else? When I look back, I realize that much of my younger life was spent trying to meet other people's expectations. I wanted to be everything to everyone, a good friend, a reliable partner, a supportive family member. But as the years went on, I began to see how exhausting that was, and how little of myself I had left by the end of it. Now, I've stopped apologizing for protecting my time and energy. I've stopped feeling guilty for choosing solitude over socializing, and I've stopped wondering if there's something wrong with me for needing space to breathe, reflect, and simply be. If you're in your 60s, 70s, or beyond, maybe you've found yourself making similar choices. Maybe you've started to pull away from relationships that no longer serve you, or situations that leave you feeling drained instead of fulfilled. Maybe you've noticed that you value quality over quantity when it comes to the people in your life. It's not an easy transition. Sometimes it feels like letting go of parts of yourself, but the truth is, this stage of life is about shedding what no longer fits. It's about creating space for peace, joy, and the things that truly matter. If this resonates with you, I want you to know you're not alone. There's no rule book for how to navigate this part of life. No one-size-fits-all approach. Some people thrive in big social circles well into their golden years, and that's wonderful for them. But if you're like me, and you find comfort in solitude, in smaller, deeper connections, that's just as valid. At 70, I've learned that it's okay to let go of what no longer serves you. It's okay to prioritize yourself, to protect your peace, and to live life on your own terms. And in doing so, I've found a kind of freedom I never knew existed. A freedom to be fully, unapologetically myself. So if you find yourself pulling away from people or choosing solitude more often, don't see it as a loss. See it as a gain. It's a gift to be able to carve out a life that feels right for you, even if it looks different from what others expect. Here's to this chapter of life, a chapter of reflection, growth, and the courage to live authentically. May we all find the peace we deserve. At 70, I've come to see life not as a series of endings, but as a series of beginnings. Each stage brings its own lessons, challenges, and beauty. And this one is no different. This chapter of life, with its quiet simplicity and deeper reflection, feels like a culmination. A time to embrace who I've become and let go of the things that no longer matter. When you're young, you often live with urgency, a constant need to do more, achieve more, and be more. There's a restlessness that drives you forward, fueled by the belief that the future holds endless possibilities. But as you age, that restlessness fades. You stop chasing what's out there and start appreciating what's right here. This chapter isn't about giving up. It's about shifting your focus. It's about simplicity and savoring the small moments that often go unnoticed. The morning light streaming through the window, the laughter of a grandchild, the familiar warmth of a loved one's embrace. These are the moments that anchor me, that remind me of what's truly important. It's also about reflection. At 70, I find myself looking back on the life I've lived, not with regret, but with gratitude. There were triumphs that filled me with pride, mistakes that taught me resilience, and heartbreaks that shaped me in ways I couldn't understand at the time. Each experience, no matter how small, has woven the tapestry of my life. But this chapter isn't just about looking back. It's about looking forward too. There's a quiet excitement in knowing that I still have time to create, to learn, and to grow. It's a time to focus on what brings me joy, whether that's nurturing a garden, exploring a new hobby, or simply taking the time to be still. One of the most beautiful parts of this chapter is the freedom it brings. The freedom to let go of expectations, both those imposed by others and those I've placed on myself. I no longer feel the need to prove anything or to meet some arbitrary standard of success. Instead, I've embraced the idea that simply being is enough. This chapter has also taught me the importance of saying no. No to obligations that drain me. No to relationships that no longer serve me. And no to the pressures of trying to be everything to everyone. In doing so, I've made space for the things that truly matter: peace, love, and connection. There's a kind of courage that comes with aging, a willingness to live authentically and unapologetically. I no longer fear being judged for my choices or misunderstood for my actions. At 70, I've earned the right to prioritize my well-being, to speak my truth, and to live life on my terms. This chapter is also about gratitude. Gratitude for the life I've lived, the people I've loved, and the memories I've made. Gratitude for the strength, that has carried me through tough times and the joy that has illuminated the good ones. And gratitude for the simple fact that I'm still here, with more life to live and more lessons to learn. So what does embracing this chapter truly mean? It means accepting the past without clinging to it, embracing the present with open arms, and looking to the future with hope. It means finding beauty in the everyday, cherishing the relationships that matter, and letting go of anything that doesn't bring peace. It's not always easy. There are moments of loneliness, of wondering what comes next, of missing the people and places that once filled my life. But even in those moments, there's a quiet strength, a reminder that I've made it this far, and that I have everything I need within me to keep going. At 70, I've come to realize that life is less about the big milestones and more about the small, meaningful moments that make up our days. This chapter, though different from the ones that came before, is no less important. In many ways, it feels like the most authentic, the most honest, and the most peaceful part of my journey. Closing thoughts. At 70, life has taught me that it's not about how much you do or have. It's about the quality of what you cherish, the moments, the connections, and the peace you carry within. I've found joy in simplicity, strength in solitude, and fulfillment in focusing on what truly matters. Avoiding people isn't about bitterness. It's about protecting the peace I've worked hard to find. If you're walking a similar path, know that it's okay to choose what feels right for you. This chapter is ours to embrace, in whatever way brings us the most contentment. Here's to living authentically and savoring every moment we're given. Take care, and thank you for being part of this journey. One of the most profound lessons I've learned at this stage of life is the importance of letting go. Letting go of the things that no longer serve me. The regrets that once weighed heavy, and the expectations, both my own and others, that I once felt compelled to meet. Letting go doesn't mean forgetting or giving up. It means making peace with the past and recognizing what no longer has a place in my present. It's about releasing the grudges I once held on to, not because they were undeserved, but because carrying them felt heavier than the wrong that caused them. It's about accepting that some dreams will remain unrealized, and that's okay. Not every dream is meant to come true, and not every goal is meant to be achieved. Some are there to guide us, to teach us about ourselves, and to show us what we are truly capable of. And it's about embracing the wisdom that comes with this acceptance, the freedom to stop chasing what was never meant to be, and start appreciating what is. Letting go has made room for peace, for joy, and for a deeper sense of contentment than I ever thought possible. The beauty of small moments. At 70, I've discovered that life's greatest treasures are often found in the smallest moments. The sound of birds in the morning, the warmth of the sun on my skin, the quiet rustle of leaves in the breeze. These are the moments that ground me and remind me of life's simple pleasures. There's a beauty in slowing down, in being fully present in these fleeting, everyday experiences. I no longer feel the need to rush through life, checking off boxes or striving for the next big thing. Instead, I've learned to savor what's in front of me, knowing that these little moments are what life is truly made of. Whether it's the joy of hearing my grandchildren laugh, the satisfaction of tending to a garden, or the quiet comfort of sitting with a cup of tea, I've come to cherish these moments for the gifts they are, for the gift. Living on my own terms. At this stage of life, I no longer feel the need to explain myself or justify my choices. I've learned to live unapologetically, embracing the person I've become and prioritizing what matters most to me. I've stopped saying yes to things out of guilt or obligation, and I've let go of the pressure to please everyone. Instead, I say yes to the things that align with my values and bring me joy. I surround myself with people who uplift me, who respect my boundaries, and who understand the importance of quality over quantity in relationships. This shift has been liberating. It's allowed me to focus on what truly matters: my health, my passions, and the relationships that feel genuine and fulfilling. Looking ahead. Though I've lived 7 decades, I still look forward with hope and curiosity. There's so much more to explore, to learn, and to experience. Each day feels like an opportunity, not to do more, but to be more present, more grateful, and more at peace. And I don't know what the future holds, but I know I'll face it with the same resilience and gratitude that have carried me through so many chapters of my life. A life well lived. If there's one thing I've come to understand, it's that life isn't measured by the number of people who surround you, the amount of things you've accomplished, or the possessions you've accumulated. It's measured by the moments that make you feel alive, the connections that bring you joy, and the peace you find within yourself. At 70, I've stopped worrying about what I've left undone and started celebrating everything I've experienced. The triumphs, the heartbreaks, the lessons, all of it has shaped me into the person I am today. And so, I choose to focus on the present, to embrace this chapter of life with open arms, and to live fully, deeply, and authentically. Because at the end of the day, what matters most isn't how much time we have, it's how we choose to spend it. Here's to savoring every moment, cherishing every connection, and finding peace in living life on your own terms.